We're starting on our feet today. And we'll take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Noticing the muscles in our faces start to soften. Starting to draw our attention to the breath. Keeping our eyes open or closed as suits. And running through a body scan, this time from our feet all the way up through our head. Noticing the grounding of our feet as we start. Taking a moment to run through, noting any areas of comfort or discomfort in the body, possible tension, lightness, or energy. Noting every part of the body as we travel upwards. And getting a general sense of the mood of the body today in this moment. Starting with the knees, we'll slowly start to bounce, shifting our weight left to right as suitable, as vigorously or as gently, with the eyes open or closed as suits. Starting to change up the energy in our bodies, noticing what's happening in the shoulders. Are they freely moving? What's happening in the jaw and our face? Are we carrying any tension there? Possibly starting to allow the head to sway or roll. Maybe even lifting the heels. Twisting, allowing the arms to sway left to right, in front and back. Just allowing the body to move completely freely. Noticing what's happening in the feet, drawing a little awareness there. We'll go for about 10 more seconds. A little more vigorously. Bringing our attention back to the breath. And slowly starting to come into stillness, returning to our bodies and running through once again a body scan to notice any changes in the sensations, energy running through the body. Bringing our hands to heart center. We'll slowly rock up on our toes and back down to the heels. Once again, drawing awareness to the heels, the ankles, the balls of the feet, the fronts of the feet. What we call proprioception, the awareness of the neurons in our ligaments, muscles, and joints. We'll continue this for a few more breaths up on the toes, back down to the heels, possibly even lifting the fronts of the feet off the mat as we settle back in, finding our grounding. We're going to add into this sequence a chair pose. Inhale, lifting the arms as we come up on the toes. And then sinking into our chair on the exhale, rising up on the toes and sinking down, allowing the arms to flow at the same time. Now challenging our stability and ability to maintain our presence in the moment. Adding an arm swing if you so desire. We'll do 3 more. Great. Finding a resting place in our chair pose here. Noticing the grounding of our feet, all 4 corners, touching the mat, pressing in. Possibly taking a look down to see our toes beyond our knees. Extending the arms, optional. Rising up again on the toes and then back down into our chair. We'll repeat this 3 more times. And then coming back into our chair this time, rotating into a prayer twist, gazing up beyond the elbow, pressing the palms firmly together. The elbow is pressing against the outside of the knee into a gentle rotation of the spine. Deep breaths in. Adding an extra dimension with the breath to massage the spine and the lower back. Rising all the way up on the next inhale. Exhaling, hands to heart. And we'll repeat that sequence with the rotation to the opposite side. Inhale. Exhale, sinking into chair, rotating over the opposite knee. Pressing elbow against the outside of the knee, gazing up beyond the elbow. Gentle twist, not pressing too much into the knee. Listening to our bodies. And focusing a little bit more on the breath. Noticing what's happening with our breath. On the next inhale, we rise all the way up. Holding here into hollow holds. Inhale, arching back. Exhale, rounding out, keeping the arms at the sides of our head. Inhale, rising up. Extending the abdomen. Exhale, rounding out. Repeating this sequence. Deep breaths in, letting our breath guide us. Allowing the chin to fall towards the chest on the exhale. Warming up our spines gently. Noticing the grounding in our feet. We'll do 3 more. On the next inhale, we remain tall, elongating the spine. Grabbing onto our left elbow, we side bend. First, we elongate, pressing the arms, bending into the side body, maintaining our deep breaths, expanding the rib cage laterally, creating space between the ribs. On the next exhale, we'll roll forward this time, making big circles in that same direction. Inhale, we rise up like the sun. Exhale, we lower our arms like the moon. Inhaling, rounding out, listening to our lower backs. Getting as much as an extension as well as contraction that suits your body today. Option here, of course, to bring the hands to the hips. We'll do 2 more in this direction. And then we rise all the way back up, grabbing onto our right wrist this time. Elongating and coming into our side body. Big deep breaths. Creating space between the ribs. Maintaining a neutral neck and head. Position is in alignment with the spine. One more breath. And on the next exhale, we'll slowly start to roll forward and make our big circles in this direction. Once again, listening to our bodies. Adding the weight of our arms is optional. Two more. On the next inhale, we rise all the way back up. Reaching up and hinging at the hips, forward fold. Allowing ourselves to hang out here for a few breaths. Shifting the weight left and right as we sway our upper bodies. Reaching inwards to the elbows. Allowing our necks to hang long, heads are heavy. Chins are tucked into our chest. Bending each leg left and right, alternating, shifting our weight, feeling the grounding of our feet, pressing into the mat. And we'll find our steadiness back in our firm, strong legs. Inhaling, rolling ourselves up gently, stacking one vertebrae at a time, shoulders, neck, and head. Resetting here with a deep breath. Great. Walking wide on our mat into a goddess pose. We're going to continue with our dynamic movements into our sun and moon flowers. Inhaling, lifting the arms into a 5-pointed star. And we'll start by drawing the shoulder blades into our spine with our squat. Inhale, we rise back up. Exhale, we squat down. Lowering into the goddess squat pose. finding a rhythm and flow that works for you and your breath. Once again, allowing our breath to guide our movements. Starting to activate our Ujjayi breath, restoring inner calm and balance. Cooling our bodies with the Ujjayi. Option here to swoop our arms. Inhaling again, rising up. Exhaling, allowing the arms to swoop down towards the floor. Sinking a little bit deeper into our squat. Good. Let's go for 3 more. Last one. We'll hold here in Goddess, bringing our hands parallel to the floor, rotating arms, palms facing up, holding our squat here, tucking our pelvis underneath our torso, bringing our attention back not only to the grounding of our feet, but to our breath. Taking a moment to affirm our strong sense of calm and our calm strength here in this pose. Knowing that it's only temporary, we won't be here long. Bringing our hands into heart center. Pressing all the way back up. And now flowing through a lateral lunge. Option to add the arms flowing through. Toe tap is optional. Or of course, bringing our hands to our hips. Flowing as deeply as the body will allow. Honoring the state of our body today, not forcing it. Possibly even taking the opportunity to bring positive light and energy into our circle and our area of practice. Creating that bubble around us with our arms. Adding a pivot is optional. Or staying in the center, coming possibly even deeper into a Skandasana lunge. Widening our stance. Loads of options. Choose one that fits best for you. Good. One more breath. Option to continue flowing or to come into a Skandasana hold pose here. Finding a pose that works best for you today, either hands to heart center, a bind with a tall torso, or of course a very strong bow and arrow hold. On the next inhale, we'll press ourselves back to center and all the way over to the other side, walking our hands. Finding that pose that works best for you today. Keeping the foot flexed, toes are pointed to the ceiling if you're down in Skandasana. Few more breaths here. And on the next inhale, we'll press ourselves back to center, pointing our feet forward. Forward fold, hinging at the hips. Option here to rock forward and back, up on the toes and then back on the heels. Allowing the heads to lower, chins to chest. And finding a still position, planting our left hand underneath our face and opening up our bodies to the right side, reaching our arms over top of the body or behind the body, optional. Pressing the hand into the mat, feeling the back of the legs, option to bend the knees here. Pressing them back slowly with each exhale as the back of the legs warm up. Two more breaths. And then we'll switch sides, lowering our right hand back underneath our face and opening up to the left. Two more breaths. And then we lower the left hand back down to the mat, wiggling the feet in slowly. Heels, toes, back into our mountain pose. Feet are firmly planted underneath the hips and we roll up gently, one vertebrae at a time, shoulders, neck, and head. Resetting here. Making sure that whoever is on the other end is muted so that you can all hear me well enough. And we're going to start with 90-degree legs, marching the legs and finding our grounding in the anchored foot as we go. Moving around the mat is optional. This time, instead of pumping the arms up, we have an option to reach up and then tap the outside of the foot. Option to pump or swing, tapping the ankle, moving around, creating new patterns of movement, new neural pathways, brain cells with our stability movements. Nice and gentle. Again, listening to our bodies, there's no rush. Not necessary to force the motion or go at any particular speed. Just getting our blood circulating, as well as the immune system, creating vitality in our bodies. Good. One more on each leg. Then we're going to hold with one leg at 90 degrees, keeping the foot flexed. Hands are on our hips. We'll circle the hips around, just circling. One direction, tapping down as needed. Doing 5 in each direction. Drawing the knee back and then around. Once again, focusing on the grounding of that opposite foot on the mat. Feeling all 4 corners pressing into the mat. Holding here. Option to come into tree pose or to grab onto the big toe, extending it outwards. Whichever balance you choose, focusing on our breath and the grounding of our foot. Maintaining a tall upper body, finding a place to focus on the wall or the floor. Coming back to our breath. We'll let go of that leg. Bring it back down to the floor, wiggling out the ankle, crunching in the toes. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite leg, bringing it up to 90 degrees. Slowly making circles into the hip. We'll go 5 in this direction, and then 5 in the opposite direction, drawing the leg back and around. Finishing that, coming back into our 90-degree leg pose, finding our stability. And then option here of a balance, extending the foot, bringing it into tree pose, finding a drishti, tall upper bodies, focusing on the breath and the grounding of our foot underneath us. Ensuring that our spine is long. We're not forcing ourselves into any pose. Right. And we'll go ahead and release that leg back down to the floor, wiggling out the ankle, crunching the toes in, and taking a moment for a sip of water as needed. Coming back into mountain pose, we reset with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. We've got one more dynamic movement before we're on the mat. So this option here is to extend into a warrior 3, drawing the arms into cactus and crunching in. So option, of course, is to come into a lunge or drawing ourselves up into our warrior 3, standing or crunching, flowing through our mountain pose with our balance and coming into warrior 3 option. Challenging yourself to your ability today. Once again, we're creating new patterns of movement and neural pathways, connecting our mind to our body and creating new brain cells as we go. Of course, option here is to hold a balance rather than flowing through. This will be our last exercise, focusing on our legs. We'll do one more breath. Inhale, rising all the way back up. Lifting our hands to the sky, planting our feet, coming down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway flat back. Forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way back up, hands to heart on the exhale. And we'll do the same flow on the other side. Once again, picking a flow that works for you today or a balance is your choice. Whether you'd rather do a standing balance or a flow, going to your speed, your rhythm today. And we'll do 2 more breaths or movements. And once again, we come back all the way up to standing on when we finish. Planting our foot, lifting our arms all the way up to the sky. Deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway, flat backs. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees, planting our hands, and we'll step back here into down dog and plank. So we're holding a plank to start, finding the grounding now in our hands. Hands are firmly grounded underneath our shoulders. We're up on the balls of our feet, drawing a little more awareness to our wrists now. Slowly warming them up. Up and forward and back on the balls of the feet. Keeping a neutral neck and spine. Torsos are parallel to the floor. We're adding in a plank flow here. So plank into down dog. Flowing as the body will allow or so desire. So you can come straight into a plank and into down dog as our first sequence, pressing back and forth gently, inhaling to plank, exhaling to down dog, pressing the heels back towards the mat, and then stabilizing with our torso over top. Adding some neural flossing in the neck as we lower the chin to the chest in our down dog, and then straighten it back up in a neutral position in our plank. Warming up the shoulders and the chest. And now feel free here to roll through the shoulders and the toes, rolling into our plank, rolling into our down dog, rolling up and forward, back and down, listening to our bodies, slowly warming into the joints, the shoulder blades, pressing up and rounding out. We'll do a few more. Once again, we're changing the movement patterns. Rather than staying stiff in our very lateral movements, we're adding a roll. Option here, once we get to our plank, to laterally rotate side to side. Adding lateral flexions, additional stabilizing requirement, and flow. Option to come into child's pose at any time that we may need recovery. We'll only be here for a few more breaths. Pressing the heels back a little bit more with each down dog. Gaining a bit more flexibility in the back of the legs. All right, one more flow. And we can lower down into down dog. And then into child's pose. Extending the arms long on the mat. Sinking our hips back towards the heels. We'll stay in an extended child's pose here, shifting left to right. Noting what's happening in our hips and our hip joints. Shifting the weight laterally into our side bodies. Coming back to the breath. Great. On our next inhale, we'll come back into all fours, drawing our weight back, centered over our knees and our hands. And coming here into a low lunge. So we'll press ourselves back into down dog. Lifting our left legs off the mat. Coming up on the toes of the right foot, gazing forward. Curling the left knee through and into a lunge. Finding our stability with our weight centered over both legs. We'll lower down to start. Inhale, lifting our arms all the way up over our shoulders. Lifting our back knee off the ground is optional. If you'd rather work on strengthening the legs. Bring our hands to heart center. We'll rotate over the left lunged leg. Once again, knee can be on the floor or lifted. If you are lifting your right knee, we'll engage the quadriceps, squeezing, creating dynamic tension through the entire body. Noticing here the diagonal pattern between our left foot through the body and down to the right foot. Opening up our arms, reaching up and down. Good. Inhaling, lifting the arms once again over top of the shoulders. Lifting the knee up. Rotating here, bringing both arms towards the left. Gentle rotation of the spine, gazing over our left shoulder, tall upper bodies. And deep breath. Holding this strong lunge, noticing our calm strength, the steadiness of our breath. Good. Inhale, lifting the arms all the way up. Exhale, bringing the hands back down to the mat. Planting the hands. Taking our left foot, we're coming into a fallen star. So walking that left foot all the way through our bodies. Planting the left hand under the shoulder. Pivoting the right foot. Opening up is an option. Lifting the right arm all the way over top of us. Left leg is extended out front. Option here is to lower and lift. Lower and lift. Hand can be extended over top of the body or supporting on the mat. Working a little bit more into the core, the hip flexors as well as the glutes and the IT band, strengthening and stretching as we move through this dynamic motion. Good. One more. Bringing both hands to the mat. Bringing the left foot all the way back down into down dog. And we'll press the heels back towards the mat. Yay for that. Shifting our weight left to right with a gentle sway of the hips. Now we'll do the same 2 exercises on the right leg. Lifting the right foot off the ground, gazing forward, coming up on the left toes and stepping all the way through with our right leg into our lunge. Either a low lunge with the knee tapping down on the floor, or inhaling, lifting arms over the shoulders and lifting up our lunge. Pressing into the right foot and the balls of the left foot. Ensuring that our upper body is balanced over both legs, finding our stability. Bringing our hands into heart center, coming into a prayer over the right lunge leg. Walking the right foot out for stability as needed. And again, drawing awareness to the dynamic tension running from the right foot all the way back through the left on that diagonal pattern. Opening up our arms, reaching wide as if we're hugging the entire universe. Bringing our hands back into prayer. On the inhale, we lift our arms all the way back over the shoulders. Lifting our knees off the mat now if you're not already. Squeezing the quadricep, drawing the thigh muscles in towards one another, and then gently rotating. Lowering our arms, allowing them to fall where they will. Tall upper bodies, and we'll gaze over the right shoulder. Inhale, lifting the arms all the way up. Exhale, we'll plant them back down on the mat. Fallen star, walking the right foot through and planting the right hand. We open up the left arm as an option. Pivoting the back left foot, option, lowering and lifting. Finding a pose or a motion that works for you today. Breathing through it, challenging yourself to your ability or your desire. Last one. And we come back into down dog, lowering our left hand, planting it, finding our grounding. Stepping back into down dog, this time pedaling out the feet. Rinsing out what we've just done. Finding stillness in our bodies. Coming back to our breath. Noticing the rhythm of our breath and the beat of our hearts. Just taking a moment to reset. And to remind ourselves of how powerful and strong we are. And with the left leg, we're going to lift it up, draw into our chest, coming into a plank, and we'll lower down onto the mat. The sequence of our plank is to press in and up into the shoulder blades, and then lower down, adding a back bend as desired. On the inhale, lifting our chests. On the exhale, we press into our plank, drawing the knee off the mat. Inhale, we lower down. Exhale, we press up. Finding a flow that works for you. Letting our breath guide us. Flexing the quadricep of our right foot and right leg as we press back. Lowering our chins to chest. Building our strength and flexibility as we move through. Calm and gentle strength we're developing. We'll press through one more. And we'll step all the way back into down dog. And lower into child's pose, this time with our knees wider on the mat. Bringing our hands over top of our bodies, interlacing them, and extending them over top of our back. Stretching out the wrists, rinsing out what we've just done. And lowering the arms back down to the mat, press ourselves up. We'll do the same thing on the other side, and then we're coming onto our backs to finish off today's practice. So drawing ourselves back into our down dog, pressing up on the exhale, lifting our right feet off the floor, stepping through into our plank, crunching our knee into our chest, lowering down, inhale, pressing up on the exhale, lifting the knee off the mat as high as you are able. Once again, finding a flow that works for you. Perhaps today you just want to hold the plank. The dynamic motion is there if you would like to try it, to challenge yourself. Two more breaths. And we step into down dog. Press that out for a few breaths. And then we lower for the last time into child's pose. Embryo. Bringing our arms along the sides of our bodies. Taking a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. We reset. And take a moment just to reflect on any intention we may have set at the beginning of class. Any affirmation words that may resonate with you today.
I am brave. I am confident, and I am powerful. Perhaps you need something with more clarity or focus to get you through the coming days. Again, just choosing something that resonates with you and repeating it in your mind. Coming back to that word or changing it as and when needed. Just like the breath, we can always come back to it for grounding. So on the next inhale, we'll bring ourselves back into an erect spine, grabbing a sip of water and then making our way down onto our backs. Slowly lowering ourselves down, we'll start off with some hip bridges. So feet are hip width apart, firmly planting the feet on the mat. And when you're ready, we'll press up, lifting the hips, engaging the glutes and the inner thigh muscles, lowering down gently, releasing the dynamic tension, and then repeating the motion, inhaling, lifting up, exhaling, lowering down. Going to your speed, making sure that we get a good squeeze at the top. Possibly noticing our necks stretch and elongate along the mat as our chins lower to our chest. Noticing the space underneath the neck when we lower back down. Option here to hold at the top and march the legs out. 1, 2, and then lower. Inhale, lift, marching, lifting, left and right, then lowering. Option, of course, to continue a gentle hip bridge. Listening to our bodies. We'll do one more flow. And then on the next inhale, we'll lift and hold, pressing through the feet. Noticing dynamic tension in the glutes and the inner thighs. Trying to draw the inner thighs together. Knees are stacked over the ankles. Noticing our breath. We're not pressing too hard to destabilize our breath. Noticing our calm strength as we hold this and we maintain our presence in this moment. For 2 more breaths. Noticing what's happening in our body. Noticing the sensations. And we lower back down. Releasing all the tension, drawing our knees into our chest, giving them a nice gentle hug. Wrapping the arms either around the shins or underneath the thighs. We have one more dynamic move today. Bringing our legs above the hips. We'll scissor our legs. Reaching our arms long is an option, and then tapping the foot. So scissoring and reaching, scissoring and reaching. Again, going to your speed. Arm swings are optional, as are the reaches. We challenge ourselves to the best of our ability, always being gentle and listening to our bodies first and foremost. Building our core muscles. Moving to the rhythm of our breath. We'll try for one more on each leg. And once again, we draw our knees into our chest, giving them a big hug. This time curling up like a caterpillar, lifting our shoulders and heads off the mat. Curling up like a ball. And then we extend long, reaching our arms and legs as far as we can, arching the lower backs. Deep breaths in, filling up the abdomen. One more breath. Good. Drawing our right knee into the chest, giving it a little hug, wiggling it around into the hip joint. Noticing any new sensations we may have here that we may not have at the beginning of our practice. Possibly more fluidity and flexibility. Coming to a still position and rotating into a spinal twist, lowering the right leg across the body and looking over the right shoulder, keeping our shoulder blades on the mat, lowering our right knee only as far as our bodies will allow. Enjoy this moment of having stopped. Bringing ourselves back to center, we'll do the same thing on the opposite side, so lowering our right leg down to the mat. We reset and then bring our left knee into the chest, maybe wiggling it around. And when you're ready, we'll come into a spinal twist, gently rotating the left knee over to the right side of the body. Keeping our shoulder blades on the mat, we look over to the left side. Coming back to our breath. And then rotating back to center, extending the left leg long. Once again, reaching far and long with the arms and the legs, arching the lower backs. Drawing deep breaths into the abdomen, helping to massage the lower back. Bring awareness to our breath and the spine. Drawing the breath from the spine all the way up to the head. And then releasing, bringing our hands back to the sides of our bodies, palms are facing up. Taking a moment to give thanks for the opportunity to practice. Giving thanks for this community. With smiles on our faces, thinking of something somebody may have said or done for us that made us smile and put love and smiles on our hearts and faces. And with our new calm strength and compassion in our hearts, we take our compassion with us into our circles and our bubbles, sharing that with others, and letting others see our calm strength and our bright lights. Thank you all for joining. I wish you a lovely continuation of your day. Namaste.